Hi again, everybody. It's Kevin Canessa coming to you from the newsroom of The Observer and TheObserver.com on this, the 18th day of July in the year 2022. Sure hope you're enjoying your Monday, no matter where it is you are in the country. A very gloomy, sticky, humid day here in the Northeast. But as you do every Monday, you welcome me into your homes so that I might bring you this week's newspaper. But before we do that, there are a few housekeeping items that I just wanted to go over first before I get to this week's paper. This first thing, excuse me, is a raffle that the Kearney PBA is running. I did a live drop last week, but just wanted to remind you that this is a raffle for a 2022 Harley-Davidson Street Glide. The tickets are $100 a piece. And all of the proceeds from the raffle go to the Tour de Force race that many of the police officers in the department here in Kearney take part in every year. All of that money goes to families of victims of the 9/11 tragedies from 2001. So if you get a chance, you can get these raffle tickets from Elise Ogando. And her number is on the screen, 551-265-9595, 551-265-9585, or you can send an email to kpdharleyraffle@gmail.com. The deadline's coming up, so be sure to get your tickets as soon as you possibly can. So there is that. This was a tough week for longtime Kearney residents because a lot of good people lost their lives. And if you look at this is from 2020. This is Ed Poplawski. Ed died on Saturday. He is the grandfather of Rich Poplawski Jr. and the father of Rick Poplawski Sr. Rick is retired, the Kearney Police Department. Rich Jr. is a current member of the department, and Ed was himself. And I remember this story from 2020, having a chance. He somehow his uniform, which he bought in 1962, was found in, of all places, Scotland, and he got reunited with this piece 2 years ago. A woman bought it in the thrift shop, but Ed left this world way too soon, and it's unfortunate that he lost his life. I believe he was 82, and it was just this Saturday that he died. Only 500 tickets, somebody reminded me on the raffle. But just a terrible, terrible tragedy, loss of Ed Poplawski. Just real quick, I forgot to mention with the raffle, there's only 500 tickets being sold, so the odds are very good. Ann Dowie, the mother of former Kearney Police Chief John Dowie and grandmother of current police detective Jonathan Dowie, died at the end of June, and we received her obituary just recently. So another tragic loss there. The same for Jackie Dunphy Howell, who, if any of you were ever students at Lincoln School, knows she was just one of the finest human beings you'll ever know. Never met a happier person in my life. Every time I saw her, she was smiling and laughing, and she died at a way, way too young age of 65. Her ex-husband, Richie Howell, coach of the Kearney High School football team for many years, and Joan DeWitt, who was a teacher at Schuyler School when I first got there in 1985. She died as well. Just a really, really bad weekend. I don't know. Sometimes it just hits in waves, but it never makes it any easier. I was telling one of my colleagues this morning, I remember when I was young, and I used to watch my grandmother read the obituaries and think, wow, it must be rough losing so many people you know. But now here I am, only 47, but I just realized that every week there's always somebody in those obituaries. But this week in particular was particularly rough. Here's this week's front page, Trees for Free. The other day, Lisa was here. She's not here now. She's on vacation, but she was walking Colt, the dog, and she bumped into these two girls who you see on the front page. And they had these measuring strips, and she's, what are you guys doing? And they're taking inventory of every tree in the town of Kearney. Those two and 2 other interns who are employed by the Hudson County Summer Youth Enrichment Program. And the town of Kearney is applying for a significant grant that would allow them to plant up to 300 trees. And this is particularly good for the environment because it helps with the stormwater drainage, and it's just the obvious too when it comes to the environment. And Steve Marks is writing the grant and could use some help too. If you read the story and you think the town is worthy of the grant, and we certainly do, we've wrote an editorial about it and wrote a letter in support of it. The town could use letters from residents encouraging the state to approve Kearney's grant. So I hope you'll consider that, and I hope I've convinced you in the story this week. When you get a chance, read it on page 1, goes into the inside of the paper, and there are instructions on how to send a letter to Mayor Santos to include with the application once it's submitted. On the bottom of page 1, new CFO in Belleville. Ron has that story for us this week. The former CFO resigned abruptly a few weeks ago, and Ron sat down with Anthony Iacona, the business administrator in Belleville, and explained a little bit about this the new CFO and some of his goals. So read that on the bottom of page 1. Into page 2 and 3, the Nutley commissioners recently met, and they recognized 2 teams that experienced championship season: the Nutley High School softball team and the middle school softball team won their respective championships. And Mayor Joe Scarpelli and the commissioners offered proclamations for the 2 teams, 2 highly successful teams, and apparently very rare that they both have good seasons the same year. So you can see that on pages 2 and page 3. The Knights of Columbus are having a barbecue on the 24th, and that's always nice when you can go and get a very nice home-cooked meal for a reasonable price, where all the money goes to charity. I think it's the Deborah Heart and Lung Foundation, and you don't have to worry about cooking. The police blotter from Captain Tim Wagner this week was very interesting because there was a story in one of the entries about a father and son who had a little rift. The son was charged with going to pick up a case of water, and when he came home, he brought the wrong brand. And so an argument ensued, and according to Captain Wagner, the father took a frying pan and whacked his son over the head with the frying pan. And then, in retaliation for that, the son took a sledgehammer and threw it at his dad. So we're not trying to make any light of these situations, but Captain Wagner's been including some domestic violence incidents, and I think a lot of times when you think of domestic violence, you think of a husband and wife, a boyfriend and girlfriend, something of that nature, but domestic can include family members too, and some of these entries have been just quite bizarre over the last couple of weeks, and this is certainly one that takes the cake for being among the most bizarre. The old police substation on Belgrove Drive, just near Johnston Avenue, is likely going to become a health annex for the town of Kearney. I remember when Rosa Alves was a councilwoman in the First Ward, and one of her big campaign promises was, and she was compliant on getting it done, to build a police substation. Back in 1999, 1998, before that, and 2000, early 2000s, there was a necessity for it. There isn't anymore. And so it's basically not been used by the police department for several years. George King, the chief of police, said there would be no use for it for the police department today, really. And so the new health director in the town of Kearney is looking to make it an outreach center for residents of the 1st and 2nd Ward who otherwise might not have access to the Board of Health on Kearney Avenue or to other medical care. So we hope that this is a project that comes to fruition at some point, and it certainly looks like that may very well happen sometime soon. Sports this week, Jason Bernstein. This young man, Christian Matos, is from Belleville. He's 12. He's going to Taiwan to play in a worldwide prestigious baseball tournament at the end of the month. This kid is good, and I have a funny feeling, just based on what Jason wrote about the kid, but what I had heard about him beforehand, that this is going to be a kid who you may see drafted in about 5 or 6 years. You know, the MLB draft was yesterday. It started and it continues today. And there's a good chance, I think, you'll hear the name Christian Matos called in the Major League Baseball draft. He's only 12, and he has exceptional baseball skills. And, you see some of the quality of play in Major League Baseball lately. It's certainly a need for better talent, and I got a feeling this kid is going to be one of those names you hear in a few years being called. Jody Hill, the coach of the Kearney High School basketball team, had a one-week camp for girls in the town of Kearney and elsewhere, but it was only for girls, and she had over 100 kids, and last year was only 70-something, and so she did really, really well. I guess the COVID effect is wearing off, and there were a lot of girls there, only girls again, and a lot of people walked away from this. A lot of the kids walked away from this basketball camp with a newer appreciation for the sport. What's even more hard to believe is that Jody Hill has been the coach of the Kearney High School girls basketball team for 25 years. Where does the time go? Sad ending to the Nutley Little League baseball season with a loss to Elmora. I think that's New York, but it may not be. I don't know, but just a very, very unfortunate end to their season. Very fine, and it's a successful season, no less, but it comes to a crushing end, and I hate to see when things like that happen for the kids in Nutley. 2 pages of classifieds, which we don't have up yet, because at the time of this recording, they are not ready. But if you're looking for a job, you're looking for a place to live, plenty of classifieds in this week's edition of The Observer. So make sure you pick it up if you haven't. It's not on the newsstands till tomorrow, but if you haven't seen it yet, there is an e-edition open right now and available at www.theobserver.com. You can check it out, and you can see all of the different things that I just went through here with you on the screen. We have a little different setup this week. Hope you like it. Looking for something that's more appealing, visually appealing, and makes it a little bit easier for you to see the PDF of the newspaper on the screen. And we'll try to stick with this for a while and see how it goes. But just try something different, and hopefully you like it. That's it for this week's edition of The Observer Live. It is 13 minutes past the hour, and we'll be back 1 week from today, but if anything happens, of course, during the course of the week, I'll join you. I'm sorry the last couple of weeks that my voice has been off and I've been stuttering over all these words. It's been driving me crazy, so I apologize. But if anything happens during the course of the week, we'll join you live. Otherwise, 1 week from tonight, we will be right back for more. From the newsroom of The Observer and TheObserver.com, it's Kevin Knessa signing off for now, and we hope to see you back here again very, very soon. Good night, everybody.